Okay, got this. We're starting the Unit 2 review now. We'll take this Tuesday. Okay, next Tuesday. Review it Thursday, Friday, Monday. Okay, put these two papers to the side. Okay, the two individual papers, especially the graph. Don't put that last. Okay. This is for a problem later that a bunch of people messed up. Okay. Identify the domain and range, then determine whether the relation is a function or a non-function. Okay. So, xy, 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 xy. The x's are the domain, so we have -2, 8, 3, 5. Now I'm ready to answer whether it's a function or not. Since those are all different, that means we have a function. Okay. As long as no numbers in the relation for x repeat, the range doesn't matter. Then range is 5, 6, 12, 6. Now you got to repeat for the range, but that happens all the time in a function. Okay, remember when we graph those parabolas, you'd have two y's that are the same. Okay, but it's still a function. xy, 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 xy. So we got 9, 3, 4, 9. Well, now it's a non-function because you have repeated values of 9. Anytime you have a repeat, it's a not function. Range 6, 8, 9.52. Okay, next page we're not going to be testing all of that. Those are kind of worthless. Okay. Write an equation of a line with the following traits. Writing a linear equation is set up in the form of y equals blank x plus blank. This is the m blank. This is the b blank. And we have to find the m and the b values. Okay. Well, remember what these mean. M is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay. So the m is -2. So we have that value from the get-go. And then b is y equals m times x plus b. So the m is -2, and the x and y comes from the coordinate point that the line passes through. So 3 is y, and then -2 is x. 3, I would write b plus, because otherwise some of you people will sit there and divide. Okay, you don't divide, so just put the b and then the plus. Addition's commutative. You can write it in any order you want. Now I add the product of -2 times -2, which is 4. I get rid of your plus 4. So -1 equals b. There's your equation right there. If you want to check it, you can always take -2 times and then put -2 in for x, and then add -1. It should equal the y value, 3. Okay. Through -1, -5, and 2 10s. So y equals blank x plus blank mb. M's the slope, b is the y-intercept. Okay. Now they didn't give me the slope. Okay. They gave me 2 points, but they didn't give me the slope. Well, the way I find the slope between the 2 points is y minus y, x minus x. Now, I start with whatever one contains the higher x coordinate. Okay, compare -1 and 2. 2 is obviously higher, so 10 and 2. Then -1, -5. That's plus then, so that's 15 over 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay. That divides whole, so I do it. If it divides into a decimal, reduce the fraction. Okay, the y-intercept, y equals m times x plus b, same as before. So the m, my slope is 5. And then it doesn't matter which one you pick. You can pick this or this, you'll get the same result if you have everything else lined up right. So 10 will be y, and 2 will be x if I pick that point. 10, b plus, 5 times 2 is 10, okay, so I take out 10, 10 minus 10 is 0, you can have a y-intercept of 0, Okay, that's fine. A textbook would just say y equals 5x. Okay. Okay, parallel to y equals negative 5x plus 2 through the coordinate 1, negative 4. So you're doing the same thing. Y equals blank x plus blank m b. M's the slope, b is the y-intercept. Now that's how you find a slope on parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope, so the same m. Okay, so what's the m in that equation? Well, y is by itself, and then it's mb. Okay, I don't care about the b, get rid of it. But my m has to be the same as the m right there. Okay, so if the m's negative 5 there, I'm going to have negative 5 here. And then b, I use the same song and dance. Y equals m times x plus b. So m is negative 5. And then the coordinate point that I have is negative 4 for y, 1 for x. B plus negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Add 5 to each side. 1 equals b. Okay, there's your answer. The whole equation is your answer. Okay, number 8, perpendicular to y equals 2/3 x plus 7 through our coordinate negative 6, 3. You're still writing an equation until the directions are different. That's what you're writing, a linear equation. So remember, m is slope, b is the y-intercept. It'd be where our equation or of the line crosses the y-axis. Okay. Now, perpendicular, the m's are not the same. Okay. If it's perpendicular, we need to flip the m and then make it into its opposite sign. So you flip m, make opposite. So what's the m in that equation? Well, if the y is by itself, you have your m, b. You don't care about the b. But the m, the slope is 2/3. So you need to flip it. Since it's perpendicular, that means the lines would cross at a right angle. And not only do you need to flip it, you need to make it into its opposite sign. So if it's positive here, I need a negative here. If it would have been negative here, I would make mine positive. Negative 3 over 2. So y equals m times x plus b. So m negative 3 over 2. Okay. So 3 is y times negative 6 for x. B plus negative 3 over 2 times negative 6 is 9. And you get rid of your 9 by minusing 9. Negative 6 equals b. Okay. And again, you can always check these answers if you take negative 3 ABC2 times your x coordinate negative 6 and then add the negative 6 and you should be equal to 3, which we are. Okay, for each direct variation equation, find the specified value. Y equals 2 when x is negative 1/2. Find y when x is 0.3. Guys, direct variation means it's just a proportion, okay, where you can cross multiply and divide. I usually arrange the y over the x. That's how I usually do it. So y has a value of 2 and x has a value of negative 1/2. I have to find y if x has a value of 0.3. Put question mark, cross multiply and divide. 2 times 0.3 divided by negative 1/2, negative 1.2. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Y equals 2/3 when x is 0.2. So what's the value of y if x is negative 0.3? Direct variation just means it's proportional. Okay, you're supposed to kind of put the y over the x. So y has a value of 2/3. X has a value of 0.2. I have to find the y value if x has a value of negative 0.3, so put a question mark, cross multiply and divide. Negative 1. Okay, find the x and y intercepts of the following equations. I didn't ask you to find the slope y-intercepts, so don't sit there and try to get y by itself. That's how you find the slope. I'm not telling you to find that in the directions. You put x int and y int. They are both set up as coordinates, okay? Now take that equation, just copy it under each coordinate. Now at the x-intercept, we're solving for x, and we solve for it by putting the y at 0. So, if I replace y with 0, what's 6 times 0? 0. 2x equals, so divide by 2, and x equals 6. That's your x-intercept. The y-intercept, now you're solving for y, so you set the x equal to 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 6 times y, that's a times y equals 12, so divide by negative 6, and you get negative 2. Done. Okay. This part here in the direct variation just requires a little bit of looking over things on your part. Okay. Negative 3x plus 4y equals 24. So I want to do the same thing. X int, y int. Okay, write down that equation. Finding the intercepts of a graph isn't hard. Okay. Getting the y by itself is how you find the slope in y-intercept. I don't want that. Okay. So the x-intercept, solving for x, setting the y at 0. So if I put 0 in for y, 4 times 0 is 0. So that term's gone completely. Divide by negative 3, and x equals negative 8. Okay. Y-intercept, we're solving for y by putting the x to 0. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. Divide by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, the next part, you're graphing. Okay, graph each linear inequality. When we're graphing lines, I want the slope and y-intercept method used. Okay, so make a wall on the y side. Is the y by itself? Yes, it is. So you have your m and your b right there. So the slope would be 3. The y-intercept would be plus 1. The slope has to be a ratio, so to make a whole number ratio, you put a 1 under it. So the y-intercept, this is the y-axis. You shouldn't be in Algebra 2 if you don't know what the y-axis and the x-axis is. So go to plus 1. Then from there we go up 3, forward 1. Now the less than doesn't have an equals to line, so it is a dashed line, okay? Because all the points on the line are what makes the y equal to 3 times x plus 1, okay? But they're not equal. Now you need to do your test, okay? You pick a point, any point, okay? I'll pick it right there, okay? So at that point, x, y, on the x, that's 1, 2, 3. And the y, it's 1, 2, 3. Now all you do is replace your y with 3 and replace your x with 3. Okay. You can use 0, 0 if you want to. You can use any point as long as it's not on the line. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Is it eating the bigger number? Yes, so that's true. So put a true over that point. That means any point on that side's true. Okay? Put F on that side. Highlight your true side. I'm not scribbling it out, I'm highlighting it. Okay? Number 14, make a wall on your y side. Is the y by itself? No, it's not. So you don't know your m and b. You're going to find it, but it's not by itself. Okay? So I have to get the y by itself. Now, first off, if that y right there is negative, okay, which it is, you don't want that to be negative because later that becomes the run of your slope. I'm going to repeat that again. If that's a negative, you need to do the opposite effect. If it's negative, if it's positive, you're good. But if that is a negative, which 6 is clearly a negative, opposite effect. So I make the 4 negative, the 6 positive, and then the less than goes greater than, and then the negative 18 goes positive. Okay? Now, you need to add that 4x to get it away from that y side. Now, you don't have an x over there. That 4x cannot go to 18, so I make my own x of 0x, and I add a 4x there. Okay? If you don't have an x term, you have 0x. Now, line up your symbol. You have 6 times y. Now, you put x first, not 18. Okay? It's mxb. Okay? So 0 plus 4 is 4, and then plus 18. Now you divide all of these terms by 6. Now y is by itself. 4 divided by 6 is a decimal, so don't make it a decimal. You can reduce it to 2/3 if you want, but don't make it a decimal. Keep it as a fraction. That's your m. 18 divided by 6 is 3, your b. Okay? Simple little process. Make sure the y multiplying number is positive. If it's not, you do the opposite effect to the inequality. Okay? You're really timesing it by -1. Okay? Then you take out the x to the other side, put a 0x, and then divide everything by your y term. But again, 4x comes before 18. You can't put 18 then 4x. A lot of you people were doing that before. Okay? So, now I have my slope, which is 4 over 6 or 2 over 3. It's going to be the same line regardless. The y-intercept is positive 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we go up 4, forward 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the symbol, it's going to be a dash line because it doesn't have the bar underneath it. Now pick a point. You have to do the test, okay? Okay, I'll go with this one, okay? That is 2, 1. For x is 2, you're at 2 on the x, you're at 1 on the y, okay? So put 1 in for y, 4 over 6, then put 2 in for x, and then add 3. One and 1/3 plus 3 is going to be 4 and 1/3. That's false. Should eat that number. Okay. So false. That means any point on that side's false. Any point on the other side's true. Okay, number 15. It's a line, but here's a problem. You can't do a slope if you're missing one of the variables. You are missing the y, okay? If you're missing one of the variables, just make 3 coordinates. You can make however many you want, but let's just keep it simple and put 3. What's the coordinate I'm not missing? I'm not missing the x. The x value is always -4. The variable we're missing can be whatever we want. But let's keep it simple. Let's just go 1, 2, 3. Again, this is x, this is y. So -4 on x, and then 1 on y. -4, 2. -4 on x, 2 on y. -4, 3. -4 on x, 3 on y. Okay? Now it's a dash line again because you don't have the equals to line. Okay, pick a point anywhere. Doesn't matter. Going to be pretty easy to put in. That point is at 2 on the x, 5 on the y. but it's pretty easy because all you need to do is just put 2 where the x is at. That's true. Okay, so that's true. All the other points on the other side are false. Okay, graph the absolute value inequality. This will not be a line, it will be a V. Absolute value functions have a V. And you're going to go with your A, your H, your K. Now get this paper out here, please. Absolute value graph. An absolute value graph has a vertex and a stretch. Set up your vertex coordinate. It is an XY coordinate, but it also has to do with the H and the K. Okay. Stretch. Okay. The stretch is the A, so the stretch is 2 over 3. Okay. Stretch is 2 over 3. A is your stretch. I put that right there. A is your stretch. Now, the HK gives me my vertex point, okay? But H has the opposite effect to the X. So you see plus 4, but it has the opposite effect to X, okay? So I'm going to put an arrow to that H and write that that does the opposite to the X at the vertex. Opposite to X, okay? So what's the opposite of positive 4? It'd be negative 4, okay? There it is. H has an opposite effect to the X. Now the K has the same effect to the Y, okay? So my K is negative 4, a minus 4. So my K down here is the same thing, okay? So A is your stretch, okay? H has the opposite effect to the X, so if it's a positive 4 plus 4, then R is going to be negative 4. The K has the same effect to the Y, okay? It says it right there, it's spelled out, okay? Vertex and stretch. A is the stretch. H has the opposite effect to the X, okay? K has the same effect to the Y. Opposite effect would be negative 4. Same effect would be minus 4 on your K. So plot that point. Negative 4 on X, negative 4 on Y. Then the stretch is really easy to do, okay? It's like a slope, similar. You go up, forward 3, but then you go up and backward 3 from that point. So up 2, forward 3. Up 2, back 3. Do it again. Okay, now the inequality does have a bar underneath, so we make the line. The graph is a solid graph. Now you don't need to do a test with the less than, it's really easy, okay? Above is greater, below is less. What do we have? We have less, so we highlight the less side. It's that easy, okay? That always is what you have, okay? So again, it's right here on your paper, okay? Absolute value function needs a vertex and a stretch factor. A is the stretch factor. If that wasn't a fraction, I'd put a 1 underneath it. H has the opposite effect to X. K has the same effect to the Y. Okay, story problems. Sailboat begins a voyage with 145 pounds of food. The crew's supply decreases by 15 pounds per day. How many days did the voyage take if the crew has 25 pounds of food remaining in the end? So days is what you're finding. So the units are pounds and days. The time unit days is X, the pounds is Y. So per pounds per day. Pounds per day is 15, but it's a decrease, so negative 15 times X. Okay, XY table. Pounds is Y. Days is X. So if we have our rate of change, we can go 0 to 1 to 2. Okay, so you'd start with 145 pounds, and every day you add negative 15, which takes it down 130, 115. Okay, now 25 pounds, I need to find how many days that happens. Okay, so the equation equals y. You got 145 as your y-intercept, and then the slope is the negative 15. Okay, so there's your equation. 145 plus negative 15 times x equals y. Okay, y equals 25. So put your y to 25 and solve it. Minus 145. It's going to take negative 15 times x equals negative 120. Then just divide by negative 15. And we get 8. Okay, number 18. After 2 days of painting, 56 gallons of paint remain in the container. After 5 days of painting, 20 gallons of paint remain in the container. How many days of painting can we do with a full container of paint at this rate before it runs out? Now, when it runs out means 0 gallons. Down here, it's supposed to say the copy machine cut it off. Days is the answer. Okay, so you got days and gallons. Days is x, gallons is y, per. Gallons per day, we do not have that, so put question mark. So you're going to make a table. X is days, y is gallons. Now you can't go 0, 1, 2 with this. You go 0 and then block it. Okay. Now you know that 2 days go with 56 gallons. That's a coordinate. You also know 5 days go with 20 gallons. That's a coordinate. Then we have to get 0 gallons and figure out how many days that is. Now if you look at the table, obviously there's a beginning amount. You don't have it, so that's B. So you need to do y minus, if you have B, okay, you need to find your rate of change. Y minus y, x minus x finds the gallons per day. Okay, so I'm going to start with 5, put 20 over it, and then afterwards you got 256. So that's going to give you negative 36 over 3, and then divide is negative 12. So it goes down by 12 gallons per day. Now when I make my line, okay, you got negative 12 times x, but what you don't have is your beginning amount. Okay, well, I find b with y equals m times x plus b. Now the m is negative 12. Okay, that's your m when you get that. Now for x and y, you go to your table. Let's put 2 for x and 56 for y. You can also go 5 and 20 if you want. So 56 times 2. So b plus negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. Add 24 to both sides. 80 equals b. So your b amount's 80, and that's what you put at the beginning of your line. Now we can solve it. So when you have the b at the beginning, you got to come over here and apply the slope formula to find the rate of change, and you have to apply y equals m times x plus b to find your beginning. 80 plus negative 12 times x equals y, y equals 0. Okay, so you put 0 in for y. Minus 80 from 0, yes, you can minus 80 from 0, it just goes negative 80, negative 12 times x. So you divide each side by your negative 12. It's 6.6 repeating. Now you can write 6, 7, or you can write 6 and 2/3. I don't care. 6, 7, or 6 and 2/3, or 6.6. I don't care. Okay? As long as it's in the ballpark. Okay, last problem. The table shows a balance of a student's bank account at various times. Okay, weeks is x, balance is y. Okay, you can see 0, he had 30. Yeah, it's $35 at the beginning. 1, he's got $68. 3, he's got 85. 4, 105. 9, 136. Graph the scatter plot because they're not going to line up. It's going to be a scatter plot. Then you draw a line of fit and write an equation for the line. So let's get the points down. 0 to 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I gave you a little piece of advice on your y-axis. Start at 30 and then add 20 every time. 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150. You can stop at 150 now. 0, 35, okay. 168, 3, 85, 4, 105. And the 9, all the way to 9, 136. So you take a ruler, put your ruler on the first point, and then just manipulate your ruler so it kind of goes through the points. It's called best fit. It's not going to be an exactly with all the points. Okay, yours might look different than mine. Okay, now I want an equation for that line. MB. Now let me tell you about that. Make a mini table, XY. You want to put your beginning amount there, and here's why. Because the beginning amount's your B. Go ahead and put that there. You don't need to do Y equals MX plus B. You have your B. Okay. Now you pick 2 points close to your line. Yours might be different than mine. I'm going to go with 3, so that'd be 385. And I'm going to go with 4, so it'd be 4, 105. Now to find my slope, my M, I apply Y minus Y, X minus X. Okay. Okay, so the X, you'd start with the 4 because that's your higher X. So you put a 4 with 105 above it, and then a 3 with 85 after the minus. Okay. So Y minus Y, X minus X. On the bottom, I want to start with the higher X. So it's 20 over 1, which is 20. Okay, there's your best fit equation. What that allows you to do is make predictions. If your weeks go all the way to like 20, you can take 20 times 20 plus 35, and that will find what they might have in the account at that. Now, when we come back from break, we're doing Unit 3. Okay, doing Unit 3. But I'm going to review Unit 3 in bits, so when we come back from break, we're ready to roll. Unit 3 will be after break. Solve the system by graphing. Unit 3 system of equations. So if you have to graph 2 equations, make a T table. Just put them on each side. Y equals negative X plus 3. Y equals X plus 1. You got Y, you got X. Get the Y by itself. It already is, so we have our M and B, which means we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. Slope's negative 1 over 1, plus 3 is the y-intercept. Down 1 over 1, down 1, forward 1. Rise over run. Take your ruler and make that as straight as you possibly can. Y equals X plus 1 is Y by itself. X, yep. X is on the other side, that's good. So M would be 1, B would be 1. So slope is 1 over 1. The y-int is positive 1. So I go up 1, forward 1, and I'm going to run into the point. Up 1, forward 1 again, and I think I have where they cross. Okay, mark where they cross. This is the x-axis. You are at 1. Okay. The y-axis is the up and down. You're at 2. 1, 2. Okay, number 2. Next thing. Same idea. 2x minus y equals negative 5. Negative 2x minus y equals negative 1. Make a wall on the y side. Is a y by itself? No, it's not. So I apply a 1 as a coefficient. If that's a negative right there, you need to make it opposite. Negative, positive, it's just an equal, so I don't have to flip that positive. And now we add your 2x and make a 0x over there so you can add 2x. So 1y. Put your x first. 0 plus 2 is 2, then the plus 5. Okay? Divide by 1, it's just going to be the same thing. Y equals 2x plus 5, and now I have my y equals mx plus b. Slope 2 over 1, y int plus 5. Then up 2, forward 1. Again, that y multiplier should be positive, because later that becomes the run on my slope. Okay. Okay, now in the other equation, yep, is your y term negative? It is, so it's got to be opposite. Positive, positive, and then positive 1. Okay. So you take out your 2x, put an x term over there of 0x and minus 2x. Okay, so you're going to have 1y and then negative 2x plus 1. Now divide everything by 1, and y is equal to negative 2x plus 1. Y equals mx plus b, so you have your m and your b. Slope negative 2 over 1, y int positive 1. Okay. Then you go down to forward 1. And the lines are going to cross. Now, if you don't have the point, you make it yourself and circle it. So on the x-axis, it's negative 1. On the y-axis, 1, 2, 3. Okay, last problem. Y equals 2x minus 1. Then we have 3y equals 6x minus 3. Okay. Y is by itself. We already have y equals mx plus b. So the slope is 2 over 1. The y int is minus 1. Then up 2, forward 1. Okay, the other one. Okay, it's y by itself, close but not quite. All you have to do is divide everything by 3. You don't have to move the x to the other side. It is a positive y term too. If that was a negative 3y, I would be doing the opposite to the equation. Funny thing happens though. Slope's 2 over 1. Negative 1's a y-intercept. Well, I already have that. I move up 2, forward 1. Oh, I've already got that. This is IMS, infinitely many solutions. Okay, it's not no solution. No solution is when they're parallel.